So let's start to create a simple blog application where users can create, view, edit, and delete blog posts. Now, in this particular case, we are going to use and learn HTML, JavaScript, CSS, how to create those for the front end and also for the back end by using Node.js. So in this particular case, we'll be starting with setting up the environment, initializing a Node.js project, then we'll set up the server with Express, we'll create routes, we'll connect to a database, which for this particular reason, we're going to use MongoDB, and we're going to create views with EJS. We will be implementing all the CRUD operations, creating post, reading the post from the database, updating the post and deleting the post. And finally, we're going to go and style the application to make it look pretty, something like this that we have here. This will be our final product where we'll create the blog title. You can say my first blog. You can add some content. This is the content of my first post. Create post and it will show up here. Now you, in just to keep it simple, I have the post displayed here. Along with it, you can also delete it and you can edit it in line here, and it will, if you see it edited this, you can add second post. This is my second post. Create, and it creates a second post which is displayed here. You can go ahead and delete the first one, just have the second post. So all the CRUD operations work in this case. So this is what we will be doing in this particular video. So to start off with this full stack app where we are building our own blog, I'm created a folder on my desktop called as full stack apps, and there's nothing inside that. As you can see here, I am also on that particular folder. But the first thing that you need to do is you need to make sure that you have Node.js and npm installed on your machine. So if you don't have it, you can always go and install it from here, where from nodejs.org you can directly download it and you'll have that. Just make sure that you have Node and you have npm installed. So when I do Node and npm, it's not saying no, it's command not available. So that's what you need up till now. And now I am in the current folder, which is the full stack apps, which has nothing inside it. So we'll start with this. So first I want to create a folder. I'm going to call this create a folder called as blog app. So this is the command on Mac, mkdir blog app, and then I'm going to go inside that folder. So I'm inside that folder, so make sure that you're inside that folder, and now I can do npm init. Now npm init will start building my project, and it will ask me a bunch of questions. If I want to say yes to everything, I can say -y, and this will make sure that the name, the version, description, the main file, everything is said yes to, and it creates this package.json file inside here. So that's the first step. If you got stuck somewhere, let me know in the comments and I'll help you out. Next thing is, let's go ahead and set up the server with Express. So we're going to use Express. If you want to look more at what Express is, you can just search for Express.js and you can look at the website and see what it is. But for now, here I'm going to just go ahead and say npm install Express. So this will make sure that Express is installed as the server for my application. Everything looks fine. Here, if you see, dependency Express is automatically added to my package.json file. That's good. Now next step, we're going to go here and create a new file inside the blog app and call it app.js. Make sure it's inside the blog app folder. And there you go. We have the app.js file. Inside this, first I'm going to get a hold of Express by using a constant and saying require Express. So this is the first step. Next step is we're going to create an app using that Express that we just initialized. To do that, you say Express and put the brackets, which will create an Express server and give it to you in the app. Now, which port do you want to use? I am going to use the port 3000 for this demo. You can use any port that you want, but 3000 is the widely used port. Next, I'm going to say that app.use express.url encoded, and inside bracket parameters extended is true. This will make sure that all my routes and everything using Express is working fine. So I have that all the URLs work properly. Now next one is I can just say app dot listen on the port that I've created over there, and I want to give this once the server is running. So I'm going to say console, just to make sure that the server is running. I'm going to say server is running on, usually it will run on your localhost and the port that I have provided. I'm going to not use make sure that since I'm using the template here, template style, I'm have to use these codes. And there you go. So I'm put port here because why do I need to put 3000 hard coded? Instead of that, I'll just use the variable name. So that's what I've done. Now once I've done this, I want to make sure that if user enters localhost and 3000, I want to give some uh, so when they go to that particular URL, you say whenever someone makes a get request to slash, which is localhost 3000 slash or just localhost port, it will return it. The function will be giving me request and response as parameters. And what do I want to do? I want to send a response dot send, and in this case, I'll say welcome to the blog app, or just say welcome to my blog, something like that. So what this does is when user enters localhost 3000, it will pass back this as data to it, and that will be displayed on your browser. I'm going to save this now just to test it out. Let's see, we are in the right folder, and here you do node app.js. So it should be in the same folder as and it says there's an issue here. Let's see, I think I see what the problem is. Here is the issue. I forgot this arrow. Let's run it again. And now it says server is running. So now I can just open my browser, and you see welcome to the blog, and this is the server that is running. So this is successful. You were able to run your server, create your server and run it. So this is the very second step after installing. And if you had any issues here, let me know, and I can issue that. I can make sure that I get back to you as soon as possible through the comments. So next, now I want to create multiple routes. So for example, I have just a slash. What if I just want to see all the posts? So if the user says post and I want to see the post, now it says cannot get post because that is not there right now. What if I want to post something through the through a particular post response? So if I make a form and user enters some data and I want to post to the server, so that's another one that we'll do. Also, what if I want to edit a particular post using the put request? So that is, let's say if I want to edit post of a particular ID, let's say 12 or something, some number based on how we do it. So or if I want to delete a particular post, so I want to create all these routes now. So it's ready for me to, so let me just kill the server, ready for me to use it when I create my UI. So in the backend side of it, so I'm still going to be in app.js file here. I have everything that I need on the top. I have this slash. Let's start with the post one. So I'm going to just copy this. So if someone says I want to get all the posts, in that case I am going to say response dot json, and I'm going to pass back the post. Now I've not created this post, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a variable here for now and call it post equal to an empty array. So this is what I'm passing back. So it will pass back an empty array whenever a post is requested. Now if someone wants to make a blog post, I am going to say, okay, so get request, post request is to posting, to kind of submit a post, get is to fetch, this is to submit. So this one I'm going to say slash post, again same thing for this, to get slash post because it's not and this one, so when they ask, when they make a get request and say post is what I want, they'll get the data. When they say post and say post meaning submit something, what it's going to do is something similar. It is request response, but in here I want to fetch more data. So the data that user is posting is coming via this particular post request, and I am going to create an object here called as post. I'm going to give an ID. Now I'm not going to give 1 2 3 numbers, but I will try to use something unique. I mean, usually I use UUID, but in this case I'm going to use date.now, but you can use the UUID function. It will be current timestamp when the post came in. Title, I will give it as request dot body dot title, and then content that they are sending will be in the request they sent us, body dot content. So these are the three parameters that I'm looking for. One is the body title, one is the body content. So whenever user enters, you've seen the initial UI, there will be a title that they'll send and the content that they'll send, and that's what I am fetching here. Once I have that, I'm going to say post dot push. So I'm going to put it in that array that I have, that I've created above, and I put it in there. I'm not saving it to a database yet because database will do next. Next, I'm going to say once the user has posted it and it's submitted, I'm going to say okay, go back to slash post URL. So what it will do is it will go to this post URL and give the user all the posts, including the one that they have recently added. So that's that. Next one is to edit a particular post. So for that we use the put request. So we will get a put request from the browser, and that one I want to say post. And now depending on, so now the post that they want to edit, I don't know the ID of it. So for that you can use the colon and say ID. So it is variable depending on what ID they send. This is variable, and I'm going to say request response. Here let's move it a little up so it's more clear. And inside this, first I want to get the post ID. So I'm going to say constant post ID equal to parse int. So from that particular, I know that it's int because it's date.now, it's a Unix timestamp. I'm going to say request dot params dot id. So inside the request parameters, there is the, this is the request parameter, there is id. So that's what I'm getting in here. And next I am going to say constant post equal to post. From the array of posts that I have, find this particular post. Now if p is such that p dot id is equal to post id. So when I want to get that post from the array where the post is equal to post id. Now if post is present, which means there is a post ID with that, because sometimes users will try to uh, edit someone else's post by just giving a random ID. So we'll need to check for that if that post exists. If does exist, then I'm going to say this is equal to, based on the request that we got here, the new title. We don't know if it's edited or not. We're just gonna assume that it's edited, and if it's not edited it will be the same old one, so we don't have to worry about it. And the content, so that's what I'm gonna set. And then again I'm gonna redirect the user to the post. So that's what I'll do. So this is the editing. Now we'll create the delete API. So delete API will have slash post, similar to what we did before, depending on which ID was sent to be deleted. Of course this is not the most secure one, but for basics this is the best way to learn. Now again I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to get the ID, and once I get the ID I'm going to get the post. Or actually what I'm going to do is, instead of getting the post, what I can do is I can clean up the post. Why do we want to use the same as before? Let's learn something else. Like I'm going to filter the posts that are the post array that is there, and I am going to say for the post where post dot id is not equal to post double equal to, just to do exact match, equal to post ID. So what I'm doing here is I am saying that get me all the posts except for the ones that you want to delete. So what that will do is that will refresh the post uh, array with only posts, all the posts except for the ones that the user want to delete. So kind of I'm deleting it from there, and then I redirect the user back to post. So that kind of covers all our APIs for getting post, editing post, sending, submitting post, and deleting blog items. So that kind of covers that. So next step, we are going to see how do we connect to a database. We have not connected to a database; it's just inside the array, which means if I refresh the server, all my posts will be deleted, everything will be gone, nothing is kind of persisted. So let's start with MongoDB. Now, if you want to install MongoDB, we can use Mongoose. So what you do is you go to your, let me make sure that I'm in the right folder, and I'm going to say npm install Mongoose. Mongoose is what we use to play around with MongoDB. So once I do that, it's going to take a few minutes and then install Mongoose for you. Once it's done that, let's go ahead to our code and make sure we have database here. So let's go from the start. Express server is there. Let's create another one for our Mongoose. So I'm going to say Mongoose require Mongoose. Express server port is fine. Next, let's connect to the database. I'm going to say Mongoose dot connect. Now this is pretty much common. Now depending on if you're using a server-side MongoDB, then they will give you an URL. But for your local, it will be MongoDB colon slash slash. I'm going to say localhost colon. The port number that MongoDB uses is 27017. This is the default one. So if you have installed just now, it probably be working fine. And I'm going to say the database that I want to connect to is this database is, and then the next parameter that I give is the username, and so next parameters is use new URL parser, which I have to set it to true, uh, and then next one is use unified topology. So this is all about MongoDB topology. So I'm setting that to as true too. So new URL parser and new unified topology. So these are the two things that you need to set here along with the URL to connect to the database. Once you connect to the database, next thing that I want to do is let's look at the post scheme. For post schema, what we're going to do is we're going to say new mongoose dot schema. So this is the function that is provided by Mongoose itself, where you pass the title. So for my database, what I want to do is I want the schema of my database should be, it has to have a string, title string, and the content, which is also of the type string. So this is how you define the schema of the database that we are creating, which is every single post has a title and content. You can add more things to it, but this is the basic stuff that I want. Next is let's create a post equal to mongoose dot model, and this model is post and it needs post schema. So what I'm saying here is I want to create a post constant which is of it is using the mongoose models, and the name of that is post, and the schema that it uses is this particular schema. That's how you assign it. Next is, let's say we have this is good, we have this. Now our post URL, we don't need post anymore because we're going to get that from database. So when a get post is done, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say constant post equal to await post dot find. So what it does is based on this thing that we've created, I'm saying post dot find. So find without giving any parameters in there, it's more like select star from database. It means if you know SQL, if you don't know SQL, what I'm saying is give me all the posts that are there in the database, and then I reply back with those posts whenever the user makes a request to get all the posts. Next thing, let's look at the post submitting a post, which is posting a post. A little confusing, but That's in here. What I'm going to do is, I think I messed up something, because this one will probably need an, so here which is an await, which means this needs to be an async function. So whenever you call await, the function needs to be of the type async, so that's important. Same thing for this I'll do for post async request response. And in here, to get the post or to submit the post, what I'm going to do is await post dot find. It is, I'm trying to remember, oh sorry, no, that is for putting a post. But to posting a particular post, that editing, what I was doing was for editing, which we'll see in a little while. For posting, I'm going to say constant post equal to, I'm creating a new post because this is a new post that user is submitting, and the title for that is new post. And inside that I'll say title is this. So let me copy this entire thing. Title is this and content is this. It will automatically create an ID for it, so I don't have to worry about the ID. And next I'm going to say await and say post dot save. What this does is this will save this particular post that I created of the type post and save it to the database. So this will persist it in the database. Next thing, I don't need to do this anymore because there is no post array. So that's for submitting a particular post. Now if you want to edit a particular post, which is put post ID in here, what I want to do in this particular case is, let's go step by step. I will first await and I'll say post dot, first I need to find that post, right? Find by ID and update. So this is a function that is available by MongoDB, where I'm saying find a post by a particular ID and update it, and that ID is request.params.id, right? And now how do you update it with? And updating is, I'm going to just copy this here, title equal to this, or in this case, and content equal to request dot body dot content. That's all I need to do. I don't need to have to do any of these, and that's it. So it looks for the ID and then updates it, and then finally it will redirect you to the next stuff. So this will update your post. Now next thing is deleting the post. Again, it's something similar that we did above, but in this case we say await post dot find by ID and you probably already guessed it, delete. This is the function available, and I just pass the ID to it. I don't have to do anything else, just pass the ID and redirect the user, and that takes care of delete. And I guess I have everything in place for the API. So so what we did till now is we have created just the backend part of it, where we have MongoDB running. We're using Mongoose and using Express to run the backend server. I have connected to the database. That's the first thing that you need to do. I've specified what schema I'm using, and then in here I am saying that use that schema for a table called as post, for a model called as post. And so model is pretty much same as tables if you're familiar with databases, and create that post. Now this is for Express, but first if user says just go to slash, it will say welcome to my blog. If you go to post, it will get all the posts from the database and give the post back. So we'll write some code for that in the front end. If I say I want to submit a post and give it in the request, send the title and content, it will create a new post, title and content, and save it and persist in the database, and then redirect the user to slash post. Next is I am saying app.put, and in this particular case, input, which is editing, I am looking for an ID that is passed by the users, and I'm saying find and update by find by ID and update, and I pass the ID and what is the text that I want to update it by, and then delete. Same thing, I find that ID and I asked it to delete, find ID and delete, and finally running the application here. So that's the backend that I have. Now let's make the front end side of it, which is starts with the HTML. Now I'm going to create a couple of folders here inside my blog app. The first one I'm going to call it public, where all the static files will be, and then I'm going to create a new folder called as views, where all the dynamic HTML will be. So first let's go into views and create a new file. The templating engine that I'm going to use for Node.js is EJS, and this file I'm going to save it as for this particular thing. I'm going to save it as index.ejs. So that's the file. First thing that I need to do again is make sure that EJS is included in my dependencies. So I am going to go back here and I'm going to say npm install EJS, and that runs a few minutes and few seconds, and that's installed. So EJS is ready. So this kind of understand that we're using EJS. Now inside my app.js, I want to make sure that it knows that I am using EJS files. So just somewhere around here, I'm going to say app.set view engine. What is the view engine that I'm using? And I am saying I'm going to use EJS. There's a bunch of other different view engines available. EJS is my favorite because it looks very close to HTML. That's why I use this. Another thing that I want to do is I don't want to, so here in my, let's say 3000, this is good. Connecting to the database, good. In my, when I say first slash, instead of displaying this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say constant posts. I'm going to get all the posts, which is await post dot find. So I'm going to get all the posts in this particular case, and I am going to render them in my index.ejs. So you just specify index, you don't have to say ejs, and I'm passing all the posts that I got to that particular file. So instead of saying this send, I'm saying render. When you say send, it just sends that text to the browser. When you say render, it will take this and then put it inside index.ejs based on how the template is set, and then give that back to the user. That's what happens. And then next, in the slash post, this is to get post. I don't want to get post anymore, so I'm going to just get rid of the get post because I'm getting all the posts here. For the submit post, so since I don't have post anymore, I'm going to just redirect them to the main home page. Why do we want to create that welcome to my blog page, which that can be a page that will display all the posts? That's what we're going to do here. So delete, we have put, we have post, and we have get. Everything is ready. Let's save this. Let's go back to index.ejs. Now inside index.ejs, we're going to write, so this file is in views.ejs, and it's of the type doc type. It will not help me type anything because it is of the type EJS. Usually what I do is I create a sample HTML file. Let's say I'm going to say test.html. I'm going to write the code there so it looks more pretty, and then I will come back and edit this language equal to English slash HTML, and then I'm going to use head tag, and inside head tag I'm going to use meta character set equal to UTF. Doesn't let me fill up automatically, but and next thing is meta name is viewport. This will make sure that your application runs good on all the devices. Width equal to device width, and initial dot scale equal to 1.0. That's good. Next thing I'm going to do is give a title to my blog and call it blog. Keep it simple. Next thing, head is not closed, so let's close that. Head is closed now. Next, let's go to the body. Now inside body, let's close body, and inside body I want to this is the main home page. So on the top I'm gonna just say h1, and in there I will say blog again, and inside that I'll create a form where users can enter the enter oop, enter the title and the content. So input type equal to text, name equal to let's call it title. Let's keep it consistent, placeholder, because this title will be passed to the server, and placeholder is title. So that's one. Next, for the for the content I'm going to use text area, and for this text area I'm going to use name equal to content, same name that I've used in the backend, placeholder equal to content. So that takes care of my two fields. Now to submit this button I'm going to use button type submit. Now this will automatically submit whatever I've entered here, but where will it submit? I have not specified that. So in the form you can specify saying action equal to, I want to call post, and method I want to use is post method. So what this does is it's looking for a post method inside app.js, post method inside app.js for post, for whatever I mentioned here, post, excuse me. So post, that's what I'm looking for. Now once I'm done with this, the next thing, this will, whenever I enter something and submit it, it will go to that particular URL and post it. So that's what that is. Next thing is, let's display all the posts. So to display all the posts I'm going to use ul, and inside that I'll use the li tag to list each and every item inside here, and I'm going to use h2 tag to give the title here. So a title will be displayed here. Now it's a template, so I have to do something about it, but for now I'm just going to show you how it looks like. And then inside the form I'm going to display the content slash p. I'm going to close the li tag and close the ul tag. So that's my entire HTML to display the post. Now it will not work like this. This HTML is passed a particular thing. If you remember, when I'm saying get all the posts, what it's saying is calling that index.ejs file and passes the post to it. So if I want to go through these posts, what I do here is I am saying you add this angular bracket and the percentage sign, and say post dot, for each post, go through the post, that is the parameter for each post that I get. I want to do is this. What do I want to do? I want to run this loop, and I put that thing below, so closing it. So this is the opening and this is the closing. Now this will run as many times as posts are there. Now it will, I don't want to see title, I want to see actual post or title. So if you want to use a value, it's percentage equal to, and closing is same, percentage close bracket, and I'll take that post parameter that I have dot title. So this is how I can do some, and this is how you display. Same thing I can do for the content, where I'm saying content, something like that. So this will work for me. Now another thing that we this will display my post. So I'm going to copy this and paste it here. So if you see in EJS, it doesn't, since I don't have the EJS plugin here on my Sublime Text, it doesn't show up properly, but if you have that, it will work fine too. Now next thing is, like, we are doing all the CRUD operations, but here we are only doing displaying. So if you want to support uh, the CRUD operations for put and delete, you'll have to use method override. What does that mean? That's another library that is available. npm install method dash override. Now this is for the backend, so I'm gonna install this. Once I've installed this, I have to go and update the app.js file. Inside here somewhere I have to say, maybe after the app is initialized, I'm gonna do somewhere around here. Oop. I'm gonna go here and say constant method override equal to require method override. Now I don't like to put the require statements here, so let me just make sure that I put it with the other require statements. And then here I'm going to say app.use the method override, and I'm going to say underscore method. So what this will do is this will make sure that the put and delete functions are working. Usually Express only works with get and post, but if you want to use put and post, so this will help doing that. Now I will have to add styles for this HTML that I've created, or else it will look ugly. But for now I'm just going to show you that you can just create styles.css and save it here. I hope I've not added, yeah, not added styles. So I've not added there. I'm just going to keep it here. We'll fill it up a little later. Next thing that I want to make sure that is this file can be accessed by app.js. So it doesn't know, your application, your backend server doesn't know that there is a public folder available. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go somewhere around here and I say app.use. For static files, Express has a static method. So I'm going to say express.static. For static files, you have to access the folder called as public. So it knows where the public files are. So and then you can link that link rel equal to the relationship is style sheet, and the href is, so we already know it's going to access public. I'm going to say styles.css. So that will make sure that that is linked. So CSS file is linked, but I have not added anything inside there. So let's go ahead and run this for now and just look at the project node app.js. It's giving me an error already. It's saying await in post in line number. Await is only valid with async. As I mentioned, we need to have async. So somewhere which is on line number 26, I've used await, but I've not specified that it's async. Okay, I did it for the post and then I forgot to put it here. So there you go, that should fix it. Await post.find. Now line 38, another one of those. Okay, async. Now that kind of tells me that I have to also do it for delete. Perfect. Okay, even though we are not accessing those APIs, it's still giving me error, which is a good thing because you don't want to see them when you're running it. So now that this is there, let's go, and there you go. Our blog website is ready. There should be no issues, no errors. Everything looks good, perfect. And we have a title here. Did we do the submit post? We did. We've created a form and that submits it. So let's create a simple one. Hello world blog. This is just a sample blog. Create the post, and there you go. This is simple, and I can create second post. This is my second blog post. Create, and it's working. So it's kind of saving it into the database, and everything is going on good. No errors, no issues. So that's good. Now how do I edit or update? So let's start with the calling the edit one first. So to edit, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it easier. I'm going to just put the edit form below it. What I mean by that is, let's first make it smaller, make it 100%. Okay, so now I'm going to put the edit form just next to the display of this. So what I mean by that is I'm going to go to my index.js here file, and inside this index.ejs file, I'm going to write the code, or I'm going to create a form to edit, and then also give a delete button to it so users can delete it from there. So after so these are my post display. After this, since this li is going to run over and over again, I'm going to create a form, and inside this form I'm going to give an action equal to post, and the way to edit is you give the post ID, right? Post with post ID. So I'm going to say post dot underscore ID. If you remember, in the database we have not given an ID. We have were using it before, but now I'm just having title and content. By default, our our database creates an ID for us, and the way to access is by underscore ID. And then I close it here. Method equal to put, so it calls that put method, and then method equal to, so even though I'm saying post here because HTML understands only post and get, so I'm saying this form is going to post, but in here in the parameters I'm saying method equal to put, and that's where the override, method override, will come into picture, and it will call put instead of post. So that, there you go. Next I'm gonna close the form. So inside this form that I've created, I want to put some data. So I have passed everything that I need. Now I'm going to use the same thing that I have here. Input type equal to text, name equal to title, placeholder. I don't need placeholder because this has value equal to post dot title, right? Post dot title. So this will add value post dot title in there. For my text area, I don't have to do anything, but I'll have to just, in here I don't have to give this placeholder because there is some value inside. Percentage equal to percentage. So inside the text area I want the post dot content data. Okay, and then type equal to submit, which will submit this. So let's go and refresh this. So you see this showed up here. So this is nice. So we have all our, like I can create the, I don't have to call it create post, I will call it edit. Also want a delete button. So now if I want to delete button, let's create another form for that. Just going to create the delete button before, and this one I'll close it here. I need a button, and that button I'll call it delete, and post ID method equal to delete. You have to specify delete, so when it posts this data it will look for the delete function inside our backend API. So that is good. So let's look at it, and we have the delete button and the edit button. So now if I want to test it out, you always, when I change some code, I always like to run the app again just to make sure that everything is fine. So I have this. I want to delete this second post. I press on delete, and it says method equal to delete cannot post, and then gives the ID over here. Let's see what is the issue here. So what I see here is that I have specified in my app.js that method override underscore method, and here I've given method, just the method. So I'm going to go here and say underscore method, and in post ID, where is the delete one? So this is for delete, this is for put. I'll make sure that is there. I'll go back here, go back to this, refresh this, and now say delete, and there you go, it's deleted. I want to add third one, third post, create, it creates the third post. Third, I'm going to edit it, blog post, this is my third post, edit, and you see this updated this thing. I don't want this n blog, edited, and there you go. So this kind of shows you that how easy it is to build an application where you can have all the CRUD operations, where you're fetching data, where you're submitting data, where you're editing and deleting stuff. Now let's make it a little prettier. This is the part, if you want to stay you can stay, if not, this is where all our things are completed, but except for making it look pretty. So now I'm going to go into the styles.css file that we have created and add styles. First I'm going to start with the body, and body I like to give font family of Arial and sans up. It was trying to complete. Okay, sans serif. Next one, I give a background color, my favorite background color, pound F4 F4 F4. Next I'm going to give a display of flexible flex direction. I'm going to give it as column, and align items to the center of the screen, and padding equal to, I'll give 20 pixel. Make the body look a little nicer. Next, I am going to give the h1 tag color of uh, pound 333. I have my form, which I will say margin bottom of 20 pixel. Okay, a little cleaner. Then I will have my UL tags for each and every items. I'm going to say list style type is none, so it doesn't show the bullet points that it shows there. And padding, I will set it to 0, so that make sure that this is fine. Next, I want to do is li background. I want fff, stands out a little bit. Margin, I will give 5 pixel, and 0. I will give a padding of around 10 pixel. I will say border is 1 pixel, solid, DTD, display flex, and flex direction, column, and align items to flex start. Let's look at it now. It looks much nicer now and cleaner. Next, I can also say the form that I've created, I want to use display flex direction, column, so it looks nicer and cleaner. I want to give some padding to the input fields, so I'm going to just say input padding, or margin, not padding, margin bottom equal to 20 pixel. So there you go, 20 is too much, 10 pixel. Do the same thing for text area. There you go, better, everything is aligned properly. Let's make the button cleaner too. So after, I'm going to add the button, and for the button I am going to say background, not color, background. I want ff 6347. Let's use a random number to see. Okay, that's fine. Color is fff, border is none, and padding is 5 pixel and 10 pixels, so it's a little bit bigger. And cursor, I want to use pointer. Margin top is 10 pixel. If I do this, I don't have to do it for the text area, but there you go, I can get rid of text area. There you go. So a much cleaner, nicer looking blog. You can make it 100% if you want, but this kind of, I am trying to make it for a mobile device, so it's easier to look at them. I can always look at how it looks like in mobile devices by going here, and I'm saying that, oh, I want to use which device and how it will look on that particular device. So let's close this, and we have this particular blog here. So that's kind of concludes our full stack application, making a blog. If you have any questions, comments, or had any issues while making this, let me know in the comments, and I'll address them as soon as I can.